If books could talk, today we're talking too. What money can't buy.
Let me ask you something. If you could pay $100,000 to get your kid into Harvard, would you do it?
Guess how many people are already doing it?
What do you mean?
They've literally put a price tag on it. Donate $10 million to Harvard, and your acceptance rate jumps to 90%.
Oh my God.
A Chinese tycoon was scammed out of $6.5 million to buy his daughter a spot at Stanford University.
Isn't that a scam?
The middleman was the scammer, but the demand is real. The question is, when education becomes something you can buy, does it even mean anything anymore?
Sure it does. You can still get a job with it.
Let me put it this way. If you knew your colleague bought their degree, would you still respect him?
Of course not.
Congratulations. You just discovered my secret. Some things, once you can buy them, they lose their value.
Wait. Are you saying money devalues things?
Not just devalues. It corrodes. Like salt dissolving in water. Money melts away the essence of certain things.
Give me an example.
There's a prison in US. $82 a night. And you can upgrade from a cell to a VIP suite.
You can get an upgrade in prison.
Clean bed, quiet environment, no violent criminals. Just pay up.
Isn't that good though? Rich people are comfortable. And the prison makes money.
Then what's the meaning of punishment? Equality before the law. Becomes rich people suffer less.
That actually sounds wrong.
Because justice. Once you put a price on it, it's no longer justice. It becomes a commodity.
So, are you against the market economy?
I'm against market thinking invading everything. Markets are good tools, but not good masters.
What does that mean?
Would you pay money to buy friendships?
Of course not.
Why not?
Because a bought friendship isn't a real friend.
Exactly. Friendship. Once you buy it with money, its nature changes.
Changes into what?
A deal. And there's no loyalty in a deal. Only interests.
But friendship is different from education, isn't it? Education is a service.
Do you really think so? Then let me ask you, if teachers charged by the hours, and students had to pay extra to ask questions, would that still be education?
Wouldn't that just be pay for knowledge?
Look, you yourself know something's wrong. Because the core of education isn't information transfer. It's shaping values.
Shaping values.
Education tells you what is right, what is important. But if everything can be bought, then there's only one answer left. Money is the most important thing.
Damn, that logic hits hard.
There's a law in US that allows women on welfare to get sterilization procedure and get paid $300 for it.
What? Sterilization, and they pay you?
Supporters said this would reduce the number of children in poor families and benefit society.
Sounds like, wait, isn't this just eugenics in disguise?
Now you're getting it. Using money to lure poor people into giving up their right to have children. Is this voluntary choice or economic coercion?
This isn't even a moral issue anymore. This is a human rights issue.
So now you understand. Not all voluntary transactions are fair. When one side is poor enough, so-called freedom of choice becomes a joke.
What about organ donation? Some people say legalizing organ sales could save more lives.
A classic debate. Supporters say, if poor people are willing to sell a kidney for money, and rich people are willing to buy it to live longer, it's win-win.
How do you counter that?
I don't counter it. I just ask one question. Have you ever seen a rich person selling their kidney?
I don't think so.
So this isn't a market. It's exploitation. Poor people sacrificing their health. Rich people buy life. You call that free trade.
But they did get the money.
And then, the money runs out, but the kidney is gone. They're still poor, but the rich person lived 10 years longer. Is that fair?
Put that way, the market really does magnify inequality.
It doesn't just magnify it, it solidifies it. When health, education, justice can all be bought and sold, social class mobility completely stops.
Hold on. That's too absolute, isn't it? People earn money with their own abilities. Why shouldn't they be able to buy?
Good question. I ask you, if a rich person paid 100 migrant workers to queue at the hospital and reserve specialist appointments, and resells them at high prices, would you think that's reasonable?
That's just scalping.
Yes, but scalping is market economy. There's demand and supply. highest bidder wins.
But this stops people who really need care from getting appointments.
So you've found the problem again. When money drives distribution, wants and needs get confused. Rich people's wants override poor people's needs.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Because market thinking has a rhetorical trap. It turns every problems into inefficiency problems, making you forget about justice issues.
What's a rhetorical trap?
Take surrogacy, for example. Supporters will say, it's reproductive freedom, women's bodily autonomy.
What's wrong with that?
Then tell me, why do rich people only become clients, and poor people only become surrogate mother?
Because poor people need money.
Exactly. So this isn't freedom. It's poverty-driven transaction. They choose surrogacy, just like a coal miner chooses to go down into the pit, not because they want to, but because they have no other choice.
Damn, that's a powerful comparison.
The market is best at packaging coercion as volunteerism.
So by your logic, does that mean nothing should be bought?
I didn't say you can't buy anything. I'm saying, we need to distinguish what should be used, and what shouldn't.
How do we distinguish?
Ask yourself two questions. First, if this thing is commodified, will it lose its original meaning?
Like friendship, education?
Yes. Second, does this transaction harm the dignity of the vulnerable?
Like organ sales, surrogacy.
You're a quick learner.
But lots of people don't care. They only care if it works.
Because our society has made usefulness the only standard, efficiency above all, profit maximization. Everything is tradable.
Isn't that just modern society?
That's why modern society treats kids as consumer goods, education as an investment, and love as a resource match.
That's pretty accurate.
Have you thought about why young people today are increasingly afraid to have kids?
Because they can't afford it.
Why can't they afford it? Because raising the kids has been calculated as a cost. School district housing, tutoring, activities. That's at least $300,000.
Isn't that the reality?
It is fact, but not the truth. The truth is, when having children is simplified to an economic calculation, we lose the ability to discuss why we should have children.
Are you saying we shouldn't calculate the cost of raising a child?
I'm saying, not all value can be measured by money. The joy of watching your child grow up, the happiness of family life. How much are these things worth?
But that's too abstract.
Then let me ask you, would you pay $1 million to have your parents spend 10 more years with you?
Absolutely, I would.
Look, when truly important things are in front of you, you don't even think about money, because some things are priceless.
I get it. You're saying love and companionship are what's priceless.
Not just love, dignity, honor, justice, trust. These things can't be measured by money.
But reality is harsh. Without money, you can't even have a relationship.
So here's the question. Is it poverty that corrupts love? Or have we commodified love?
Is there a difference?
Of course there is. If it's poverty, we should eliminate poverty. If it's commodification of love, we should rebuild our values.
That's too abstract.
Let me be more specific. When you're on a blind date, and the first thing they ask is your monthly salary, how do you feel?
Uncomfortable, like I'm a product.
Exactly. Because people aren't commodities. They shouldn't be priced. But today's dating market classifies people, puts clear price tags on them.
But isn't that market rules? High-quality resources are scarce.
Listen to what you're saying. People became resources. Love became transactions. Marriage became investment. Is that still love?
So what should we do? Should we just ignore financial conditions when dating?
I'm not saying shouldn't consider it. I'm saying you can only consider it. When money becomes the only standard, all other qualities get ignored.
Like what?
Kindness, sincerity, responsibility, shared values. How much are these worth in the dating market?
True. Everyone just looks at house, car, money.
So the scary thing about market logic is, it simplifies complex human relationships into simple numbers games.
So what's your solution?
Redraw the boundaries. Clarify which areas should be market-driven, and which should be driven by morality, justice, and public interest.
Say it plainly. I don't get it.
Healthcare shouldn't be fully marketized, because health is a basic right, not a luxury.
Go on.
education shouldn't be fully marketized, because it determines social mobility and fairness of opportunity.
What else?
Justice, public safety, environment. These shouldn't go to the highest bidder.
But the problem is, government public services are terrible. Of course, rich people want to buy better ones.
Yes, but the problem isn't markets themselves, but that we've given up on making public services good.
What do you mean?
When the rich can pay their way out of terrible public services, they stop caring about the quality of public services. The result is, poor people endure worse and worse services, while the rich retreat into their paid protective layers.
Isn't that class division?
Yes, and it's irreversible, because when the rich no longer share the same system with the poor, they lose motivation to improve that system.
So you mean, certain things must be mandatory for everyone to use together?
Not force, but sharing. In a good society, people from different classes should meet in certain public spaces. Public schools, public hospitals, public transport.
Why?
Because only through sharing comes empathy. Only through empathy comes community.
That's a bit idealistic, isn't it?
Idealistic. Think about when you were a kid. Neighbors helped each other. Kids played together. Do you remember that feeling?
I do. People were warmer back then.
And now, you live in the same neighborhood. Don't even know your neighbors.
Why?
Because we've outsourced all our needs to the market.
That's true. Food delivery, express delivery, housekeeping. You can buy everything.
Yes, it's convenient, but it's also lonely. Because market relationships have no warmth. They only have deal.
So what are you trying to say?
Money can buy services, but not care. It can buy sex, but not love. Can buy a house, but not a family.
This sounds a bit cliché, but it actually seems true.
This isn't cliché. It's common sense that you've forgotten.
What did we forget?
That some things you can only own by giving. You have to put effort into friendship. To gain it, you have to take a risk with trust. To earn it, respect must be earned, not bought.
But who believes that anymore? Everyone says talking about money doesn't hurt feelings.
That's because the feelings have already been so hurt. So they numb themselves with money.
That's a harsh thing to say.
Is it? Then let me ask you one last question. If one day you're lying in a hospital bed, how much money can buy someone who genuinely cares and stays with you?
You can't buy that.
Yes. That's why the title of my book isn't What You Can't Buy, but What Money Can't Buy.
Is there a difference?
Of course there is. I'm reminding you to think, to question, to protect those things that shouldn't be priced.
So you're not against money?
I'm never against money. I'm against making money the only standard of measure of everything.
One last question. If the audience can only remember one sentence, what would you want it to be?
Markets aren't innocent. They change the nature of goods. And it also change our values. We need to decide what things should be bought with money and what shouldn't.
Because once you can buy it, it loses value.
Not just loses its value, it loses its meaning. When everything is tradable, we lose the ability to discuss what a good life is.
So what is the good life?
That question shouldn't be answered by markets. It should be answered by yourself. And my mission is to help you take back the right to ask.
Got it. What money can't buy? It's not telling you the answer. It's about teaching you to ask.
You finally understand.
All right, everyone. That's all for today's interview. If you also want to know what exactly you're exchanging for money in this era, hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk more next time.
Remember this, in this age where everything can be bought, the most valuable things are exactly those that can't be bought.